Hi guys, so I'm Munira and this is my first YouTube channel, first YouTube video. So sorry if I'm awkward, honestly, because I'm awkward in real life, so there's a high possibility that I'll be awkward in this video as well. But I'll still try. I will try to be. Anyway, so one thing about me, I think the only interesting thing about me is that I love reading books, as you can probably figure out from this. And there's one here as well, entire bookshelf over here as well, which you guys can't see. So I love reading books and it's just very fascinating to me. So suddenly I have also decided to become a part of this family of yours and make a few videos just regarding the books that I've read or plan to read, or books that I plan to buy or I bought. You get the gist of it. Okay, so today's first video is going to be my March wrap-up. Yes, the day on which I'm filming this video is 24th of April, and I'm doing my March wrap-up on 24th of April because that's just who I am. I'm stupid. Anyways, whatever. So these are the number of books that I read in March. That's 6 of those, which is a good number, pretty good number. That's my sort of average 5 to 6 books a month. So yeah, let's get started. Almost very aggressive. Okay. So the first book that I read in the month of March is The Palace of Illusions by Chitra Banerjee Devarkuni. Probably. So this book is about Mahabharata from Draupadi's perspective, from her point of view. If you're an Indian, if you're from India, you know what Mahabharata is. You've read about Mahabharata. You've seen shows related to Mahabharata. You know everything there is to know about Mahabharata. But all of those things are always from the male perspective, from the male point of view, from the Pandav's point of view, from the Kaurav's point of view. It's never from the female point of view. That's what Chitra has done in this book. She has written the Mahabharata, the entire Mahabharata, from Draupadi's perspective. So just in case you don't know who Draupadi is. So Draupadi is the wife of the Pandavas, the 5 Pandavas. She is the wife of all 5 of them. Yes. And the Mahabharata is a war that happens between 2 sets of cousins. That's the Pandavas, 5 of them. And then you have the Kauravas, which are 100 or I think 101, I'm not sure. So these people, these cousins, they're fighting the war of Mahabharata for the throne of Hastinapur. And we're seeing that from basically Draupadi's perspective of how she is, understanding the events of the war, how she feels she's a part of the war, if she's responsible for the war, all of those things that, would go on in Draupadi's mind. All of those have been addressed in this book, and all of them have been beautifully written in this book. And I think it was very refreshing to have Draupadi's perspective, and I really enjoyed it. Was it a 5-star rate for me? Maybe not, because as you know, we already know about Mahabharata. We know what happens, we know who dies, who doesn't die, we know everything. So maybe that's the reason why this wasn't a 5-star rate for me, because I wasn't like, oh this happened, oh that happened, because I knew that was gonna happen. The only refreshing thing about it was from a different point of view, right? From a different point of view that you usually get Mahabharata in. So that was one really good thing about this book, and I really enjoyed it. It was not a 5-star, but did I still cry? Yes, I did. I cried. I cried at the end of this book because it's so beautifully written, honestly, and just amazing. So if you're interested in mythology, particularly Indian mythology, this is a perfect book to start with. It's very good to read. So that's all I have to say about it. Then the next book that I read was actually a recommendation from Jack Edwards on YouTube. If you don't know who Jack Edwards is, what are you doing? Are you living under a rock? It's Jack Edwards. So the book that I read is NightCrawling by Leela Motley. This is one of the books that Jack Edwards, he mentioned that was so sad that he was crying and he really enjoyed this book. He really liked this book. It was really, really good. So I had very high expectations from this book. Very high. Were those expectations met? I'm not so sure. NightCrawling's book is about Kiara Johnson, I think. Yeah, Kiara Johnson. She's living with her brother. The parents are not in the picture. I don't exactly remember what happened to them, but they're not in the picture. So Kiara has to work to, you know, live and support her brother as well. So she somehow ends up, you know, walking the streets, and she becomes a sex worker basically. She's getting the money. She's afloat. It's nice. It's good. It's fine. Until one day she gets caught by a police officer. And she gets very, very scared. She's like, probably gonna go to prison, my life's over, everything, yeah, yada yada. But that's not what happens. The police officer or officers that catch her, they end up trying to sort of like make a deal with her that keeps her out of jail and also benefits them. So she agrees to the deal, and that's where everything goes downhill. Just, I don't want to say too much because that'll probably spoil the book. But yeah, as soon as she agrees to that deal, her life just basically becomes a living hell. And yeah, it's sad. This book is sad. I'm not saying it's not sad. This book is actually very beautifully written. Leela Motley is in fact, I think, a poet. She usually writes poem, and this is a debut novel. So a poet writing a novel. It was very good, very beautifully written. I could feel the pain. I could feel the, you know, just the dilemma of Kiara, of whether, what do I do? Do I agree? Do I not agree? What do I do in this situation? Why is this happening? I felt really, really bad. I felt really sad. Why is this happening to them? Why is this happening to her? She's such a nice person. This shouldn't be happening to them. But that's life, you know. Just life is cruel. Life is bad. And it was sad. It was definitely very sad, but I didn't cry. I was very involved in the book. I was very involved with the characters. I felt like I knew them. I felt like I was there in the story with them, seeing what's happening with my own eyes. It's that beautifully written, and it's amazing. It's a very good book. You'll probably think why I didn't like it then. I also don't know why I didn't like it. It's a very good book. You should definitely read it. Everyone should read this book. It might be your favorite book. It's a very good book. You should read it. I gave it I think 3.5 stars. But it's only because of me. I'm the problem. Hi, it's me. So yeah, this is NightCrawling by Leela Motley. I think if you want to read a heart-wrenching story, then you should definitely pick up NightCrawling. Next up, I read Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I think I had the same reaction to this book as I had with NightCrawling. It's a very good book, very beautifully written, but I still did not love the book. It was a very good experience. Like when I used to put the book down, I used to be like, I want to be back in that world. I want to be back there with Alice, and I want to be back there with Felix. I want to be there. And I used to pick up the book again, and I started reading it again. It was that good, but it still kind of fell short to me, like the ending and everything. It was like, you could have done more with this, but that does not mean that it was not good. It was a very good book. This is a solid 4-star book. It was very, very good. I'll tell you what happens. So this book is about two friends, Alice and Aileen. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Alice and Aileen, they are based out of Dublin. They were like college roommates, and they're very good friends. They both, like, they've graduated, and they're both becoming writers. So Alice is a very prominent, very successful writer. You know, she's going on tours and everything to publicize, okay. And Aileen, she's not that successful. She, I think, works for a newspaper company, like a normal editing journalist type of job. I don't know exactly, right? So they're very good friends, but then Alice finally decides that I've had enough of it. I'm tired of my job. I'm gonna take a break, and she moves to Paris. I think it's Paris. I hope it's Paris. So she goes to Paris, and over there she meets Felix through like Tinder sort of thing. And Felix is a normal warehouse worker type of person. And so Alice and Felix, they sort of, you know, hit it off, start talking, doing stuff, but there's always sort of a misunderstanding between them. The relationship is not perfect. Same thing's happening back in Dublin with Aileen, who is sort of hooking up with her childhood best friend Simon. Yeah, Simon is like literally a Greek god. He's very, very handsome, very, very hot. People are just girls are throwing themselves at him. They're basically hooking up and they're trying to get into a relationship, and then again, same thing, miscommunication, lots of miscommunication. Then there's Alice and Aileen. They're friends and they're in two different cities, right? Two different places, and they're talking to each other through email. So every chapter, in the middle of those two chapters, we get an email that Alice has written to Aileen or Aileen's written to Alice, and he's telling about what's happening in my life and everything. And it's pretty interesting, honestly, especially in those emails. There are a lot of different topics that those two people are discussing, like intellectual topics, like topics not related to what's happening in their lives. And I think that part was very, very interesting to me. It was like, wow, people actually talk like that to their friends. I don't think I've ever had such talks with people that I know or anything. But anyways, so it was very, very interesting. You could see how these people are ruining their relationships by not communicating, and that was kind of frustrating but also entertaining, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a very good book, very beautifully written. I will definitely be reading more by Sally Rooney, but I'm not dying to read anything by Sally Rooney. You know, you should definitely, everybody should read this book, because I think this is that kind of book which is like, you never know if it is your style unless you read it. You shouldn't listen to me when I say I didn't like this book or I didn't enjoy this book as much as other people. That does not mean anything about this book. It's a very peculiar writing style which you will know that you like only when you read it. As simple as that. So read it, pick it up, go buy it. The next book that I read is my favorite. I think it's a 5-star read for me. The author is like my go-to author. There's a book by her, I will buy it, I will read it, I will love it. And I will recommend it to every single person who asks me for a book recommendation. So that book is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is her latest release and I loved it. I love this book. I in fact read this entire thing in 5 hours, one go. I started the book, I kept reading it for 5 hours, and I finished the book and I loved the book. It was so good. Okay, so I'll tell you what the book is about. So the book is about Carrie Soto. She is a tennis player, right? So she's a tennis player who in her time, in her 20s, when she was the main, you know, tennis player, she had like a few world records. She set the world record. She was amazing. She was like the boss woman of tennis and everything was great. And then she retires, because that's what athletes do. They, you know, they play up to a certain age and they retire. She's retired, and then the book, starting the book starts, the plot starts with Carrie Soto and her father watching a game after she's retired. They're watching a game, and Nikki Chan, she's a British player, she's playing in the game, and she's like the new hot tennis player of the tournament or whatever. And if she wins that game, she's in fact going to beat all of Carrie Soto's world records. And she in fact does win, and she does beat Carrie Soto's world records. And that's when Carrie realizes that she discusses with her father, and she decides right there at that spot that she's going to come out of her retirement and she's going to work hard and she's going to get back her title. She's going to claim them back from Nikki Chan. So that's what the book is about. The book is about her journey of how she struggles, because she's obviously not in the prime of her life. She's in her 30s. She's not as physically fit as she was in her 20s or when she was a teenager, when she was working for those titles that she earned. But now she is a bit older, she's a bit more, you know, physically weak, but she has to work even harder because she has to break her old record. So that's a very, very difficult task, and that's what she does with this book. The plot's amazing, right? But the thing that I loved the most about this book were the relationships in this. The relationship that Carrie Soto has with her father, with a few other people that are mentioned in this book, the relationship that she has with Nikki Chan, who she's opposing, you know, her opponent. The relationships were so good. It was just so good, especially her relationship with her father, you know, as the relationship with her father was progressing over the years of her period of of her life. You could see how that is affecting her as a person, how it's affecting her performance as an athlete. You could see all of that, and it was just amazing. This book is just was amazing. That's the reason why I finished it in one go. It was so good. Also, this book is kind of like written like in, you know, like match highlights sort of thing. So I could get it like this. 1995 Australian Open. So then this particular section of the book will be about that match. It will be about the preparation that she did for that match. It's really, really interesting, honestly. I read it in one go, and I'd do it again. I can reread any of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, and I will do that. I'll probably reread this sometime soon. I really, really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Definitely read. If you don't want to pick up this book because you're probably not interested in tennis, you can pick up any book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. She's amazing. Next up, also one more thing. So this book actually won the award for the Goodreads Choice Awards for Best Historical Novel, Historical Fiction. So that's pretty cool. And the next book that I read was actually a runner-up for that same award. So Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. And this novel, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It was I think 4 or 4.5 solid stars for me. This book follows Elizabeth Zott, who is a chemist basically in the 1960s. So you can imagine how hard it was for a woman to be in a male dominating industry. And so basically what happens is she is a chemist, right? She works at the Hastings Research Institute, and something's happened, pretty traumatic things happen, which I'm not going to tell you because I didn't know about them, and I went to this book and I was like, can I cry? Can I cry? Yes, I will cry. That's how traumatic those things were. So those things happen, and she finds herself not being able to, you know, pursue her career in the research institute, and she has to survive, right? She has to earn a living for herself and her daughter. She ends up starting her own cooking show. Yes, cooking show, which is known as Supper at 6. But the thing is, this particular cooking show is so different from what is usually expected in the 1960s. It's not like, you know, chop this up, add 2 tablespoons of this. No, it's not peppy as what people would assume you know, a cooking show would be. No, she is giving a proper class. She's teaching the housewives of the 1960s what is the scientific reason behind doing this, what are the nutritional benefits of adding this, of doing that. She is basically giving the housewives a lesson in chemistry through a thing that they will be doing anyways. They will be cooking for the family. But it was a very, very good, empowering novel to read as a female, as a girl. It was very good. I think everyone should read this book. It was again not a 5-star read for me. I don't know why. I'm just very picky with my 5-star reads. But it was a very, very good novel. It's, I think, something that everyone should read. That is Lessons in Chemistry, Bonnie Garmus. Beautiful book. Then I picked up my comfort author. The author that I always go to whenever I want some, you know, some thrill. I know I did that. Sorry. So I picked up And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, and I loved this book. This is in fact considered one of her best novels. Yeah, it says here. So, And Then There Were None came first in a global vote to find the world's favorite Agatha Christie book for her 125th birthday. So that's pretty cool. And let me tell you, it was worth it. It was definitely a very, very good novel. I enjoyed it. 5 stars. I'll give you a little basic gist of what it is. So there's basically an island who no one knows who owns that island, okay? So, and then there are 10 strangers who get sort of letters from a Mr. and Mrs. Owen, and just sort of inviting them over to a party on a particular island. It's called Soldier Island. So these 10 strangers, they end up on Soldier's Island, which is completely like isolated from the mainland. There is no constant 24/7 way of traveling between the island and the mainland. Basically, they're stuck over there, and there are no Mr. and Mrs. Owen. They're not there. They're just these 10 strangers. And they think, okay, fine, Mr. and Mrs. Owen will probably join us later. It's because it's difficult to travel to the island, right? So they're like, fine, we'll go on with our party. They go on with their party, and then people start dying. This book was amazing. Honestly, the ending of the book, the plot twist, who is it behind the murders, it was amazing. This book was amazing. It's a classic Agatha Christie book. This is a book that you would recommend to someone who enjoys reading and also who is not into reading. So if you know someone who is into reading, you can suggest this novel to them because they will love it. It's 325 pages. No, not 300. It's 250 pages, short book, big text. It's very easy to get through, very interesting. You will not want to put it down. It's very good. So it's very good. It's a very good recommendation for people who read and also people who don't read. They can get to this book very easily and they will enjoy it, that's for sure. So yeah. So these were the 6 novels, 6 books that I read in the month of March. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my sucky review for these books, and I hope you're interested or want to read at least even one of these. That'll be a very good thing for me. Like, I'll feel nice if you want, like, oh, I'll pick up that book now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of them before, if what you felt about these books, or if you want me to talk about something else, because I'm just talking whenever I want to talk. No one's stopping me. Sorry. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you soon. I promise, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.